It's been 12 years. Can you believe it? 12 years of the Nebraska Cornhuskers in the Big Ten. Have they fully entrenched themselves as a Big Ten university? And have they provided the value to the Big Ten Conference that our beloved Big Ten was hoping they would provide when this move was made back in 2009? It's a great time to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Big Ten football content all off season long. Always mash that like button to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses. When this move was made, I think a lot of people thought there'd be change on the football field in one form or another. Maybe some people thought, hey, they're going up against bigger and badder competition, right? Now instead of playing Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, Iowa State, now they're playing Iowa, now they're playing Wisconsin, now they're playing Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. They're playing better competition, so maybe they take a little bit of a dip, but then they says, hey, they're recruiting against some of the best teams in the Big Ten, and there's going to be that little rub-off type of scenario where because you're associated with a Michigan, with an Ohio State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, etc., they're going to be able to compete at a higher level. I think a lot of people thought there'd be change one way or another, but the reality of the situation is there really wasn't change. There wasn't much of a change in the early days of Nebraska's association with the Big Ten. Like you look at their last 3 years in the Big 12, which were also the first 3 years of Bo Pelini in Lincoln, Nebraska, 2008, 2009, 2010. 08, they went 9-4. 2009 and 2010, both 10-4 records. Now you go to the first 3 seasons in the Big Ten, right? A real proving ground type of time period, 2011 through 2013, almost identical. 2011, they went 9-4. 2012, they went 10-4. 2013, back to 9-4. So not much changed. Not much changed. I think that's a big credit to Bo Pelini. I think that's a big credit to the stability of the football program at that time. Now I know this is a football-centric channel, but when you got to take a look at the value, of course football is going to be a really big piece to the pie. There's a lot of other pieces that Nebraska provides. I think 2 big pieces have been volleyball, right? The Big Ten really takes a big claim to being the nation's best volleyball conference, and Nebraska has been one of the best volleyball programs in the country over the last few years. Baseball, they've added some good value on the baseball field as well. You look at all across athletics, I think Nebraska has provided a good diversity of athletic programs, but obviously on this channel, we're focused on football. Okay, and the thing about football, and this was a big reason why the Big Ten was so attracted to bringing Nebraska in, was all of the eyeballs. It's probably the biggest, if not one of the biggest fan bases in all of college football, so it's going to have a whole bunch of eyeballs on the product. And that's what's happened. Maybe Nebraska hasn't been televised at the highest levels, you know, your big noon games or your big ESPN or ABC games, but Nebraska, when we're talking about value, okay, the Big Ten Network is a big deal for the Big Ten Conference. Nebraska has been the kings of the Big Ten Network. Okay, 2021, Iowa-Nebraska was the most watched game in Big Ten Network history, 1.92 million. Nebraska in 2019 played in 2 of the 9 most watched Big Ten games of the past 7 seasons. So what does that tell me? It tells me, like, you look at Nebraska during that time period, especially playing in those Big Ten, 2 of the most watched games of the last 9 years in Big Ten Network history. Like, you look at how Nebraska was on the field during that time. They weren't good football teams. You look at Mike Riley. You look at Scott Frost. Like, you look how bad those teams were, and they're still drawing those types of eyeballs. That's the kind of value, because it makes you think what Nebraska is going to be like when they get to a higher level. When they play at a higher level, it's going to be an even bigger draw. So the Big Ten Network piece, I think, is a big piece to look at when you take a look at Nebraska's value in the Big Ten. Here's something else to kind of keep in mind. From 2015 to 2021, Nebraska was the 5th most watched team in the Big Ten, 2nd in the Big Ten West, just behind the Wisconsin Badgers. So we look at 14 teams in the Big Ten, right? Ever since they went to 14, they are in the top 5 of the most watched teams in the Big Ten Conference. When you take a look at value to a conference and a school's value, a lot of times it's those eyeballs. which teams draw, which teams bring in more viewers, and thus bring in more potential advertisers, and thus bring in more financial gains to the conference. Nebraska has proven their value in terms of that. And to be honest with you, I don't think Nebraska has completely reached their complete value. They haven't reached their potential in terms of their value. Because we talked about it. This is maybe the largest fan base, the most passionate fan base in all of college football. And look at these numbers. They're dominating the Big Ten network, right? Look at these numbers that they're bringing in when their team stinks, when they're winning 3 games, when they're winning 4 games. I think they had a 5-win season somewhere there under Scott Frost. When they're not winning a lot of games, when this team isn't bowl eligible, they are still a team that a lot of people will tune in to watch. You get this team back to what they did under Bo Pelini, 9 wins and 10 wins, especially with this new television contract with CBS and NBC coming into the fold. This is going to be a big time deal for the Big Ten Conference, because I think they've just been waiting for Nebraska to explode. They've been waiting to see a big Nebraska-Michigan game. They've been waiting to see a big Nebraska-Penn State, Nebraska-Ohio State. They've been waiting for those big-time games, because when Nebraska gets back to that level, I believe they've put in the resources. I believe they put in the time. They put in the money to make that happen in their football program. When they get back to that point, CBS execs, NBC executives are going to be very happy, because it's going to draw big numbers. That's the one thing that I want you to take away from this video, is the Nebraska fan base has provided the value to the Big Ten Conference because they watch Nebraska Cornhusker football in droves. I want to hear what you guys think. Do you think Nebraska has provided a big value to the Big Ten Conference, or are they just kind of floating around? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Of all things Nebraska, 12 years gone by in the Big Ten Conference. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Big Ten Ted. We will see you in the next one.